David Smith here with another flipped classroom math lesson. 3 tips before we start. First, you can adjust the playback speed if that helps you get through the video. Second, you can pause the video at any point to take notes or work the examples. Third, you can turn on the captions and read my words go by on the screen. Today's topic, just count the pegs. And my goal here is to support you to earn your best possible grade on your report. And everything I'm going to talk about today is on the guidelines. Remember the front page of the guide, let's come up closer. The front page of the guideline explains each of the sections on the report. And then super important, the back page shows you the grade sheet that I use to grade your report. So students who are really careful and diligent will look over these points while looking at their report to make sure that they did everything that's here so they can get all the points. So that's what my goal is today, is to help you get as much points as you can earn on your report. So let's get started. Okay, the first report section is the problem statement. This is your introduction to the POW. So there's a few things you need to do there. Generally, it's about a paragraph. Some people can write really concisely and they don't need too much. Other people aren't so concise. All of that's fine. Just don't write 5 paragraphs, okay? All right, so you need to have a clear description of what the POW is about. You need to discuss the POW's goals. So like the idea here is to find 3 formulas, the various PEG formulas that you've been working on, and you want to explain that correctly. So be sure to talk about like the rules for the first 2, like 4 pegs on the outside for one of those, the other one is no inside pegs, and then finally explain the super formula that you're asked that's actually the heart of the POW. Your audience is a peer. So somebody just like you, your same grade level, just not in our class. So they don't know about this POW at all. In fact, you're writing an introduction to somebody who's never seen this POW, okay? I want to talk about what doesn't go here, okay? Don't talk about your solutions. Don't talk about all the things you did along the way. You're actually not putting a whole lot of math here. You are explaining the formulas that you're asked to find, but you're not showing your in-out tables or any of that stuff. It's just an introduction. The next section is called the process. And what it means by process is, what kinds of things did you do to solve the POW? Okay, not the solution, that goes in the next section. So the idea here is that you're going to talk about all the steps that you took. Well, we read the problem from the textbook. Then we got out geoboards and we tried a bunch of stuff. I got stuck and my group mate helped me, or I asked David in class and he gave me a hint. All these kinds of things are really good for your process section. Also talk about the things that you used. We used geoboards, we used in-out tables, and you could probably come up with a few other things that we used as well. No math yet. Okay? So you're not putting your formulas in this section, you're not showing examples, you're not actually putting any in-out tables here. Okay, let's take a look at the solutions section. This is the heart of the POW. It's the most important section. It's got more points than any of the other sections. So you'll want to really put the most of your energy into crafting a good solution. So what does that entail? First off, show the formulas. All 3 of them, okay? Now, before we go on, I want to give an offer of support to those who could not find the super formula. That's okay. You can still get an A on this POW even if you didn't get Flashy's super formula. What you have to do is you have to talk about that. You have to say, I struggled, I tried, I did this, I did that, I did this, I couldn't get it, just didn't get there. Here's what I need to get there. So talk about like what input or what help you would need to find that solution. That formula. You can't get full points on the solution section without all 3 formulas being correct, but you can get almost all the points. And that would certainly allow you to get like a low or a medium A on the report. So don't feel bad if you couldn't get that last formula. You can still do pretty well on the POW. Okay, so you've got to show all 3 formulas. You've got to show how they work. You can't just say, here are the formulas down the road. You've got to show that. So you have data in your in-out tables, and what you did is you used that data to find the formula. So then when you show how the formula works, you should reference the data in your in-out table, plug it into the formula, and show how the formula spits out the correct area that is the area that you found using a geoboard that's in your in-out table. So use your in-out table data, show examples. So say, for example, using the geoboard, I found out that this certain polygon has this many pegs inside, this many pegs outside, and here's its area calculated on the geoboard. Now let me use my formula and show that that gives me the same area. That's a really nice way to use an example to show how your formula works, okay? So examples, I think like there's room for one geoboard diagram that you could show kind of as either setting the stage or show how these polygons are constructed. That's like where the whole thing starts. Remember, just count the pegs refers to pegs on a geoboard. Okay, let's talk about the last section, the self-assessment. So this is where you look back on your work with the POW, talk about what you learned, give yourself a grade, and then look forward with some areas where you might improve better next time. So first off, talk about what you learned, okay? And this is pretty open. You can talk about learning to persevere. You can talk about learning to think hard when you don't understand yet. You can talk about pegs and geoboards and area formulas. You can pretty much talk about anything that relates to the POW that you learned. And don't say, oh, I didn't learn anything. If you think hard enough, you're going to find something that you learned. Because we worked on this for quite a while. So my guess is that there's something there for you to talk about. Give yourself a reasonable grade. Look back on your work, make an evaluation of how you did, and give yourself a grade. And reasonable, there's some leeway there. But let's just say you did an awesome job, you found all the formulas, you worked on your write-up, you did a really good job, give yourself an A, okay? Don't give yourself a B- if you really did do an awesome job. By the same token, if you blew it off, if you waited to the last minute to do the write-up, if you didn't really proof it very well, and you didn't look at the guidelines, then don't give yourself an A, okay? Because you got to really do all that stuff to earn an A for the POW, okay? For your self-given grade. You got to justify that grade with what you learned. Now, most people like to say, I deserve an A because I worked hard. What I would say is, talk about what you earned, not what you deserve, but what you earned, and say, I think I earned an A because I did work really hard. It's okay to say that, but you also have to say something like, I worked really hard and then I pushed through, and then I realized, I learned something about how area is constructed on the geoboard, and suddenly it made sense. Suddenly that helped the formulas come into play. So now I know better about area. I know better about persevering when it's tough. Things like that, okay? That's just an example. For you, it's probably different. Finally, you want to look forward. Okay, so after you've done all this stuff on the POW, all these sections, all the time in class, you want to look forward and talk about an area for future growth. So look at what might not have gone so well, or what maybe you could do better next time. Like maybe next time I need to learn not to get so frustrated when I can't get it right away. I need to learn how to be calm with the struggle. That's just one possible thing. Okay, so talk about all these things in your self-assessment. Okay, last thing. This is not a section in the report, so don't make a new heading that says communication and organization. This is just another category where you can earn points for your report, okay? So when I finish reading it, and then I look at the communication section and I take a look at certain things. So first one, prepare your report on a computer, okay? These days, turning in a handwritten report for school is just not the way to go. There's so many reasons for why a word processor is so much better than handwriting. I'm not going to go into them here, but just know this is a requirement. You might be dinged if you do it by hand. Second thing, your writing needs to be clear and easy to understand. Now, you're in my class, so I know you, and I have a feeling for what your understanding is because we've interacted quite a bit. Maybe I gave you hints on the POW, I watched you work on it. That's all great. But when I read your report, I have to kind of forget what I know about you, and I have to look just at your report and determine whether or not it stands by itself. So I evaluate your writing as though I don't know all that stuff about you already. So your words need to be clear and understandable. So when you proof it, you want to look at all your sentences and make sure they make sense. A really nice tip is show it to somebody else. If you have a friend or someone in the class, have them read your report and look for suggestions. They might have things that you didn't notice that they will notice, okay? Correct spelling and grammar. This is a written work. It needs to be correct. Now, am I going to deduct points if everything else is good, just somehow your spelling is off a little bit or your grammar isn't quite right? Probably not, but if there's a lot of problems here, then there'll be problems here, okay? So if your grammar's all messed up, then your writing's not going to be clear and easy to understand. So for ESL students, you might reach out. If you have additional support at VVS, then you might reach out and show a draft of your report to your ESL support person and see what they have to say, okay? Last thing, it's got to be well organized. It's got to be in the correct order. So the order of the sections that we just went through, that's the order of those sections in your report. Last, super important, please put headings in there. Let me know what section I'm reading. Each section has different things for it. If you just give me 5 paragraphs with no headings, you're leaving me to guess which is which, and I'm not super into guessing. It needs to be clear, okay? So use headings. Finally, use this video and the guidelines to do a solid proof on your POW. You may think you're done, but now's the time to look it all over again and just check it against the guidelines. Maybe watch this video again with your report in front of you, things like that. You can't check too often. You want to make sure you get as much points as you can earn. Okay, so now you've had a nice description of how to do a good job, how to earn the best grade. Just know that I'm looking forward to reading your report. Now that you've watched the video, jot down a few extra notes or questions for our next class. You can also re-watch portions of the video that you didn't understand the first time. If you enjoyed the video, please click like, and if you'd like to help me grow my YouTube channel, please click subscribe.